قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين، وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. أما بعد, dear brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to our Saturday edition of Ask Zad. As usual, we will take 3 questions from the emails and then we will straight go to the callers. So our first question is from Sam. He says, being a foreign language teacher for teenager groups, I use pictures to explain vocabularies. Is this legitimate in Islam? Is it okay if I use photos of cartoon characters depicting humans and animals, or shall I use real living creatures, pictures instead, like men, women, children, and animals? First of all, the prohibition is in the actual drawing. So the one who draws is sinful, and it is one of the major sins in Islam as directed and instructed by the Prophet ﷺ. And they will be severely punished on the Day of Judgment for what they had created, imitating the creation of Allah. So the people who draw or make sculptures are the one with this warning. Now those who use these pictures, if it's for a legitimate reason, and it's not hanging them or using them in clothes, etc., if there is a legitimate reason and the pictures themselves are halal, you can use those. So for you as a teacher, you can use drawings of an elephant, of a fish, of a bird, of a human being without any problem, though photographs are far safer because the photograph is the actual creation of Allah Azza wa Jal. Yet these drawings are an imitation. So it is best to be safe rather than sorry. However, this might not be possible all the time. So therefore, using halal drawings in order to illustrate a word or an idea or a concept you have in your mind, this is permissible, providing there is nothing haram, such as depicting pictures of women or illicit relationships or something that is prohibited in Islam. Nevertheless, using photographs, of course, other than photographs of women, is a better option and a safer option for you. And Shu'aib says, my grandfather and other elders were tolerant, patient, prayed in the masjid even when they were ill, even if it was difficult to walk. But they didn't have much information or knowledge like we, the youth, do, due to things available on the internet. Yet we, despite this information and knowledge, we sin, we miss prayers. Or 2, something negative happens, we easily give up. What is it that we youth lack? This may require a whole lecture, not a Q&A. The issue is in Iman. The elders are not all the same. Your grandfather has many friends and contemporaries who are like you, who may possess the knowledge but lack the implementation. But in general, every generation that comes is worse than the previous generation in totality. Why? Because the fitna is greater. The means to get to sin is easier. And the whole community is encouraging and clapping for you if you were to sin. Unlike things 20 or 30 years ago. So 30 years ago, the amount of sin was way, way negligible compared to today. 30 years ago, you had people standing up for the truth and saying that this is haram. They forbid evil. They encourage one another to stand firm in the face of lusts and desires. Nowadays, the whole community is against you. You are swimming against the tide. And if you open your mouth with قال Allah or قال الرسول عليه الصلاة والسلام, that this is haram, this is halal, you would find 10 or 20 collaborating to attack you. This is why the issue is not in knowledge alone. The issue is in iman, that is in the heart. And this is why Allah says in the Quran, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء, that verily among Allah's servants, only the scholars, the knowledgeable, this is appropriate interpretation, the most knowledgeable would fear Him most. The knowledgeable means those who know Allah, His beautiful names and attributes, His Sunnah, they know the Quran. Maybe they are illiterate, maybe they don't have a degree, but they have this thing in their heart that makes them and forces them to worship Allah and to refrain from doing haram. We, on the other hand, lack this. We have the knowledge. I can write a thesis. I can write many pages. I can give many lectures. But when it comes to walking the talk, when it comes to prove to me, show me in your life, in your conduct, when you come and ask my wife, my kids, my neighbors, my co-workers, do a 360 as they call it in management, and ask about me, this is when you know whether I am a scholar or not. This is when you could tell if I'm walking the talk or not. The vast majority of people nowadays are drifting away from this fact, focusing only on what they know rather on what they do, not on the conviction, not on the purity of the heart. May Allah Azza wa Jal save us and preserve us all. The final question is from Hussein. He says, if I'm not wrong, it's not permissible to draw living creations like faces of people in cartoons, etc. But what is the ruling on using such drawings and cartoons as profile pictures? Is it permissible? Again, this is inappropriate. These drawings are imitation of Allah's creation. And those who did it are severely punished on the Day of Judgment. The Prophet ﷺ refrained from entering Mother Aisha's house when he came back from a journey. And he stood at the door with anger on his face. Mother Aisha says, I ask Allah for forgiveness. What have I done? What have I done? And previously, while the Prophet was away, she put or installed a curtain over a door that she had. And this curtain had drawings of living creatures, animals, fish, birds, whatever, like any drawing. So the Prophet pointed at it, alayhi salatu wasalam, and said, didn't you know, Aisha, that the owners of such drawings are the most tormented people on the Day of Judgment? She immediately took it down, ripped it into pieces, and filled pillows with it, so there are no more pictures apparent in it. This is what Aisha did as a reaction. Now, for you to come and put your profile picture, like many of the youth, things that are not even permissible, like Naruto or whatever they call them, or you put characters from an anime or from here or there, all of these are not appropriate at all, if not prohibited. So it is best for a Muslim to avoid these things and to focus on what benefits him instead of giving and portraying such an image to the people. So do we have our callers or not yet? I don't see anything. It's coming, inshallah. It's in the pipeline. It will take few seconds, hopefully not minutes. So we have Muhammad.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Alaikum salam. You are from?
Pakistan.
Pakistan. Hayyakallah, Muhammad. What can I do for you?
Sheikh, my question is regarding dua.
Yes, sir.
If a person is making a normal general dua and he has like a newspaper in front of him which has some pictures of sports players, women sports players, does this have an impact on his dua? Like, does it make it sinful or something? Should he not make this in front of these images? Could you please clarify this, Sheikh?
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah.
Can I ask more?
Unfortunately, only one question. Try a little bit later, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, inshallah. Adib from Bangladesh.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Sanatullah.
So my question is, like, I have a friend who says there's no problem in just talking to women, but the problem is if the boy gets touchy. So can you just tell if having girlfriends in Islam halal? Can we just talk to them normally in social media or elsewhere without getting touchy?
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah. Mehwish from the US.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
What is the ruling on a person converting to Islam solely for the purpose of marriage? Is the shahada and their marriage legit? Jazakumullahu khairan.
Wa jazakum. Sayyid.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Sanatullah.
Okay, there are a number of licensed money lender in the country that I am in now. Okay, and some of them are advertising us and looking for those who wanted to join them as a debt collector. And may I know whether can a Muslim work as a debt collector in a licensed money lender? And if it's permissible, what are the rulings on Muslims taking up such roles as a debt collector, which means to say that the nature of the job is to go to people's house and demand for a repayment of time if the debtor fails to make repayment on time. Jazakumullah khair and shukran.
Wa jazaku barakallah feek, Sayyid. We have a short break. Stay tuned and inshallah we'll be right back.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'm going to talk about the book Interactions of the Greatest Leader. Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam reminded us through his guidance and example that Islam is complete submission to the will of Allah. For one who submits, a mere declaration or display of belief will not be taken for success, but his or her heart and soul will certainly be put to test. Allah tested the Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam severely in order that he sallallahu alaihi wasallam becomes an example for his companions to follow. Similarly, he tests the believer to see whether he lives a righteous life in accordance with the instructions and commands set by Allah, or lives according to what his desires dictate. Whether the faith he displays is firmly rooted in his heart, or is it merely on the surface. He will be tested to see whether he will continue to have faith and love of Allah when in a calamity, as he does when in comfort, whether he will continue to remember and worship him if given bounties and comforts of life, as he does when he lives a modest life. Allah will undoubtedly test him to see if his faith, trust and love of him is unconditional, or is it conditioned upon good health and a comfortable life, free from stress and anxiety. The Prophet of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed us through his own example that for a righteous Muslim, this life is a testing ground where he will continue to be tested until he meets Allah. For him, tests will be conducted on earth while he lives, and not after he dies. He knows that as soon as death arrives and he steps into the next world, his tests are over. There, he only receives the result of his tests and enjoys the fruits of the deeds that he committed during a short span of time called life.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah and welcome back. We have, I think, Sayyid from Singapore? Or is it Saeed from UK?
Saeed from the UK?
Okay, Saeed, what can I do for you?
Yes, my question is, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wallahi, I love you for the sake of Allah.
May Allah Azza wa Jal love you and all our viewers as well.
Ameen, ameen. My question is, in non-obligatory prayers, can I make dua using my phone? Because I know that the duas from the Quran and the Sunnah are the best duas. So I was just wondering, can I use my phone to say the dua?
So I'm presuming that you're not making dua in sujood.
In sujood, but then before I say salam, so in taslim.
Yeah, because if in your sujood, it's not going to be possible for you to make dua from your mobile phone because you have to look and you're in sujood. Correct?
In sujood. That's correct. I was talking about in taslim, so just before I say salam. Can I sit there and just look at my phone?
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah. Abir from Pakistan.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
I would like to know, I have a daughter who is a special child. Okay, so my friends and family, they gifted her some jewelry and gold. Can I use it without her? Obviously, she cannot give me permission. Even if she grows up, she cannot give me permission, and she cannot wear it for herself. Here, some scholars, they said you cannot use your child anything without her permission.
Okay.
Can I use her gold and jewelry?
I will answer, inshallah. And we have Maryam from the US. Maryam? Maryam from the US? Okay, then we have Muhammad from the US. Anyone from the US?
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Assalamu alaikum wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Hayyak Allah, Muhammad.
Sheikh, thank you for giving me a chance to ask my question. My question is, like in the masjid, if I reach when the imam is already in second rakah, that's going to be my first rakah. And in the tashahud, when the imam is in tashahud, should I recite at-tahiyatu with them as if it's going to be my first rakah? And also in the fourth rakah, I'll recite only the at-tahiyatu, or I'll be...
Got your question. I got your question, Muhammad. I will answer you, insha'Allah azza wa jal. Salhin from Canada.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh. How are you?
Salamullah, hayyakallah akhi.
Wa hayyakum. Sheikh, my question is, some people, they claim to be Muslims, but they also mock Islam and Sharia law. And so now I don't know if these type of mocking the religion makes them apostates. So my question is, if we don't recognize these people as apostates as well, like, do we nullify our own Islam? A'udhu billah? Because I've read somewhere that if we don't recognize someone who is not Muslim as non-Muslim, we also nullify our Islam. If this is true, please.
Got it, akhi. I will answer, inshallah. Muhammad from Pakistan.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
My question is regarding playing Quran in the car while driving. Sometimes I go with my mom and we turn on Surah Kahf in the car, but she asks me questions while it is reciting, and I hesitate because I think maybe it is sinful to talk during recitation. Secondly, once I was in the back seat and I had
No. One question is enough, inshallah. I will answer you for this, inshallah. In Siram from Australia.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
My question was, if you're having wudu and before you finish, you dry a body part, like for example, your foot, is like your right foot. Does this invalidate the wudu?
So let me get it straight. You washed your right foot, you dried it, then you washed your left foot.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or any body part, but yeah.
Okay. I will answer, inshallah. And we have Binyamin from the UK.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salamullah.
How are you, Sheikh?
I'm doing well, alhamdulillah. What can I do for you?
Alhamdulillah. What's the ruling on keeping the name Binyamin? And my second question is...
No. Only one question, Binyamin.
Okay.
Please.
Jazakallah khair.
Wa jazakum. And we have Faiz from India.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Salam wa rahmatullah.
How are you, Sheikh? It's been a while. I didn't call. How are you?
Barakallah feek. I'm doing well. What can I do for you, Faiz?
Yes, Sheikh. I have two questions.
Only one.
Okay. Fine, Sheikh. Sheikh, how should we approach Ramadan, Sheikh? How should we approach it? What can we do? What type of deeds can we do to, approach Ramadan? And how can we make this month useful? And
okay. I will answer, inshallah. And we have Shahzel from Pakistan.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salam tullah.
So my question is, what is the permissibility, what is the ruling on saying Wajhallah alaik?
Wajhallah alaik?
Yes.
Okay. I will answer, inshallah. Shukr from US.
Assalamu alaikum.
Salamullah.
Chef, I had one question. Okay, so I heard that we can eat the food of the Christians, the Jew, and the Muslims. But then there's a verse that I saw that said that you can't eat any food that wasn't like that. The name of Allah wasn't mentioned in.
Okay.
So why would the Christians or the Jews mention Allah's name when they were slaughtering?
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah. Wajih Qazi, Wajih from Canada.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I wanted to ask regarding the adab around speaking about, scholars alive and who have passed away. Recently some people, they uncovered a fatwa of Sheikh Al-Albani, rahimahullah, rahmatan wasi'ah. And they started saying that he made blunders and mistakes, and it's an aberrant fatwa. So I don't know, in my heart, I don't feel like this is correct, but could you tell us, is this kind of speaking of the scholars, is that correct or not?
Okay, I will answer you, inshallah. We have another break. Inshallah, that would be our last, and then we will answer your questions, so stay tuned.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today I'm going to talk about the book Interactions of the Greatest Leader. Ibn Mas'ud, may Allah be pleased with him, said, "The noble man of Quraysh passed by Allah's Messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, and with him were Shu'aib, Bilal, Ammar and Khabbab, and other weak Muslims. They said to him, O Muhammad, are you pleased with these people as being your people? Are those the ones that out of all of us Allah has blessed? Are we going to follow those people? Send them away from you. Perhaps if you do, so we will follow you." So Allah sent his verse, which means, and do not send away those who call upon their Lord morning and afternoon, seeking his countenance. Tafsir al-Tabari.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah and welcome back. So we begin, bi'idhnillahi azza wa jal. Muhammad from Pakistan, he says that what's the ruling on making dua when there's a magazine in front of me with appropriate or inappropriate pictures? Would I be sinful for that? The answer is no. Your dua is for Allah azza wa jal. You're not contemplating on making dua to that person or that sportsman or that model, but it is inappropriate. When you want to make dua, try your level best to have your heart gathered, collected together, and make it with sincerity to Allah, rather than being in a dubious place and maybe taking a glance and being distracted. But the dua is valid and you're not sinful for doing dua, inshallah. Adib from Bangladesh, his friend thinks that it is okay to communicate with the opposite gender, especially on social media, as long as there are no inappropriate discussions, etc. This is known as free mixing. And this is totally not true, because Allah Azza wa Jal ordered us in the Quran not to follow the footsteps of shaitan, which means that shaitan doesn't come all the way to order you to make a major sin. You would say, get out of my way. You're crazy. I'm not going to fall into major sins. But he starts bit by bit, by a glance, by admiration and liking, by thinking, by an idea, by contemplating, by getting the courage to speak, by communicating for a while until all barriers are removed. Then he goes right to the bullseye, which is how human nature is. So the issue is not talking to the opposite gender or not. The issue is, do you want to follow Sharia or do you want to follow your whims and desires? If you want to follow Sharia, then you have to ask, what's the ruling in Islam, in Sharia, in the Quran, the Sunnah, on communicating with the opposite gender who are non-mahram without any legitimate reason? The answer is well known. Any scholar would answer you. But if you want to follow your whims and desires, then let the same be with your sister. Let the same be with your mother. Let someone like me or someone like the neighbors talk freely with your mom and spend hours on social media communicating. She's venting and telling them about how she feels about her husband and kids, and they're telling her about what they feel. And then you know what will happen afterwards. Nobody accepts this. But when you follow your whims and desires, you're blinded. You cannot see, unfortunately. Mehwish says, if a person accepts Islam simply to get married, is his shahada valid? The answer would be, do any of us, or does any one of us, know what exactly is in his heart? No. The only way to nullify his shahada and the marriage, by him saying, I do not believe in La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. I just said it to get married to this woman. He declares, he confesses. In this case, yes, neither the marriage nor his Islam are valid. But if we speculate, no, this guy only married her to, embraced Islam only to be with her or to get married to her, this is like opening someone's chest and knowing what's inside. And this is only in Allah's hands and not in ours. Said from Singapore says, can I work as a debt collector? A debt collector is someone who's hired to do a particular job. So if I'm a cleric, someone pays me to write. If I'm a secretary, someone pays me to arrange his appointment. If I'm a mechanic, someone pays me to fix the car. A debt collector is the same thing. Someone is paying you to go and collect their own debts. They're authorizing you. So this is halal, providing one, the debts are halal. They're not interest-based. So you're not allowed to collect haram debts because you will be cursed like the one who had lent it in the first place. Number two, you're only entitled to collect it through legal and peaceful means, not like the thugs and goons that would break his legs for their loan sharks because he did not pay on time. This is haram. You're not allowed to harm a fly or someone without a legitimate reason, and you're not authorized to beat or take the law into your own hands. Other than that, if someone comes and pays me a percentage or a salary and says, go and collect my debts in the market, and I go to companies and I show them the bills and I tell them that I'm going to file a lawsuit against them, that they will block and close their company, and they pay me the debt, and the debt is originally halal, there's no interest in it, there's no problem in that, inshallah. Saeed from the UK, he says, when I want to make dua, I know that the best dua is the authentic dua from the authentic sunnah. So if I'm in voluntary prayers, not fard, and I'm after the tashahhud and the salutation, or what they call the durood, now what is remaining is the salam, the conclusion of the prayer. So I take my mobile phone and I have written down Sayyidul Istighfar. I had written down a number of du'as authentic that the Prophet used to make. Can I do that? No problem with that. Abir from Pakistan, her child is challenged and she received a lot of jewelry, gold, gifts from the relatives and loved ones. Can she use it on her behalf? Because the child is challenged, she would not be able to give permission. The answer is the child belongings can be only monitored and controlled and authorized to use by her father. For the hadith, أنت ومالك لأبيك, you and your wealth belong to your father. So he's the only one entitled to sell if he wishes, or to authorize you to wear it. If he says, please go ahead and do it, there's nothing wrong in it, inshallah. Muhammad from the US, when I join the imam after skipping a rak'ah or more, if the imam sits for the first tashahhud or the last tashahhud, what should I do? Akhi, no matter when you join the imam, you have to do exactly what the imam is doing. So if you join the imam in the last tashahhud, he's sitting down, you came, walked in the masjid, Allahu Akbar, and you sat down. This is not even your first rak'ah, because this doesn't count. So what should you do? Do you start whistling and looking around doing nothing? No. You do exactly what the imam is doing. What is the imam doing? At-tahiyyatu lillahi was-salatu wat-tayyibat. You say this. Then he offers salutation. You say this. Then he offers dua until salam. You do the whole 9 yards. Regardless, this is your first, second, third, or fourth rak'ah. It doesn't matter. You do exactly what the imam does throughout the salah. Salihin from Canada, he says there are people that mock Islam. They pretend to be Muslims, but they actually mock Islam. So should we consider them apostates, and would we be considered disbelievers for not consider them as apostates? First of all, the ruling you said is one of the nullifiers of Islam, which Al-Imam Muhammad Abdul Wahhab has listed down, the 10 categories. Whoever does not make the disbelievers disbelievers and does not believe that they are disbelievers, he is a disbeliever. This is in people that are 100% known to be disbelievers. So if someone says, Wallahi, listen, the Christians and the Jews, they believe in the Torah and the Injil. So our friend here, John and Jim and Brown, or whatever, they are Christians and they're Jews, but I wouldn't say they're disbelievers. Akhi, it can't be. Either they're believers, Muslims, or disbelievers, non-Muslims. Said, well, I don't believe that they are disbelievers. This is an act of apostasy, because you are saying that what Allah has described them as in the Quran and the Prophet ﷺ in the Sunnah is not true. Allah said that they had committed an act of disbelief. لَقَدْ كَفَرَ الَّذِينَ قَالُوا. They have gotten out of the fold of Islam and they're disbelievers. And you say, I have my reservations. This is an act of disbelief. Now, in your case, those who are doubtful, maybe they made what they had said out of ignorance, maybe they did not mean it, maybe they did not understand what it is. So individual takfir is different. But generally speaking, those who mock Islam on social media or in public, and they say that the Quran is this and that, they make fun of Islam, they make fun of the Quran, they make fun of the Sunnah, they make fun of our Prophet ﷺ or the companions. They're making fun, they're making jokes, stand-up comedy. This is an act of apostasy. Whether they were serious or having fun or whatever, this is an act of apostasy, and we believe them to be disbelievers. Muhammad from Pakistan says, sometimes I listen to the Quran while I'm driving with my mom, and she may ask me a question or two, and I'm hesitant to reply, feeling that I would be disrespecting the Quran. No, simple yes and no answers or a short sentence does not disrespect the Quran, which you've been listening to the whole time. So if you're listening to the whole Surah Al-Kahf, and she says, oh, look, this is a new building. When did it start? And you said, 5 months ago. And you move on. You did not disrespect the Quran. But if you start to engage in an argument or a conversation that would totally distract you from listening to the Quran, and the Quran would be playing as if it's background music, no, this is disrespectful. Turn it off and speak with your mom until you are over with. Insram from Australia, what's the ruling on drying one of the limbs before completing the wudu? The reason people ask such questions is that the scholars had made 6 pillars for wudu. 1, washing the face. 2, washing the arms till the elbows. 3, wiping the head and the ears. 4, washing the feet to the ankles. 5, the order. You have to begin 1, 2, 3, 4, not 1, 3, 2, 4. 6, to be simultaneous, meaning that you do it one after the other without leaving a gap, going, answering the phone or opening the door or checking the microwave if the food is cooked or not. Simultaneousness. So people, especially jurors, when they identified what simultaneous means, they came to the conclusion that the limbs don't dry before you finish the wudu. Because if you washed your right arm and somebody knocked on the door, so you interrupted your wudu, you went and you spoke to the milkman and you took the order and you paid him for the next month and you went back to the toilet, you'll find that the water on your face and on your right arm has already dried. Scholars say that this means it was not simultaneous. Do the wudu from the beginning. So people thought that the dryness of a limb, even if I'm in the actual wudu process, means that I have to do it all over again. And this is problematic. This is not from the Quran or from the Sunnah. Why? I'm making wudu. I washed my face. Now it's time to wash my arms. So I roll up my sleeves, which leads to drying of my hands. So now I say, I think I have to do my wudu again. So I do my wudu again. And when it comes to raising my feet to the sink so I can wash them, I touch my jeans or my trousers or my thobe, and this leads to drying them. Maybe I am in summer in Saudi Arabia when it's 45 degrees. So just as I finished washing my face and started doing my arms, my face is dry. Oh, I have to do it over again. No, you don't. So drying a limb, as in the case, for example, for someone who washes his right foot, then he wants to put on his socks and wears his shoe, then wash his left foot. This is legitimate because it is simultaneous, despite the fact that he had worn his socks, and this does not have any impact on his wudu. So I hope this answers your question. Binyamin from the UK, is there anything wrong in my name? Nothing that I can see. It's a totally legitimate name to have. Fez from India, how do we prepare for Ramadan? And this question, Akhi, requires a lecture. First of all, due to the reason that we have only 9 days, so if you have a marathon, you cannot get prepared to it in 9 days. If you have a competition, you would like to grow your muscles and become a bodybuilder, you need more than that. Ramadan for people is different. Some of us are blessed by Allah to have lived Ramadan throughout the whole year. So they're used to fasting Mondays and Thursdays, every month, every week. And they're used to fasting the 3 days, the white days, every month. They're used to fasting Arafat, Ashura, everything. They are used to reciting 1 juz' minimum every night in tahajjud prayer. And they are used to giving charity for those who are needy, other than the zakat money. So, and they're used to engaging in dhikr after the salat. They're used to getting the hour plus after Fajr prayer in the masjid, remembering Allah until the sun rises, then praying 2 rak'ah to get the reward of Umrah and Hajj. Perfect, perfect, perfect every single day. So when Ramadan comes, nothing much changes for them. Business is as usual. And they are astonished when they see people being fatigued and tired and hungry and thirsty and cannot move. To them, it's business as usual, but they put it up a notch in the sense that, yeah, 1 juz' is not sufficient. So now we read 5 juz' a day or 7 juz' a day. Now we prolong our night prayer from like 50 minutes or 40 minutes into an hour or 2 hours. Now we are more careful in what we say and speak because we don't want any sins. There is no social media, there is no YouTube or TV channels at all blocked. We would like to focus on getting as much reward as we can. There is a lot on their mind how to gain rewards. Okay, connecting to my next of kin, my uncles, my aunts, my cousins, I haven't seen them, let me get in touch with them. Charity work, sadaqah, feeding the poor at the masjid, attending the first takbir in the masjid. There are a lot of things and the sky is the limit. However, the vast majority of the Muslims won't succeed, unfortunately, except those whom Allah has blessed. Why, Sheikh? Why so being so pessimistic? Because the vast majority of the Muslims, the first couple of days of Ramadan, they're all geared up, they're charged up, and they fast and they do the Taraweeh and they do the Quran. On the third or fourth night, they find that they're out of gas, out of wind, totally. Oh, it's so difficult. I can't go on. I don't know what to do. I'm so bored. I need to steam off a little bit. I need to do something, refresh. Can I watch this? Can I play with this? Can I go here and there? And they soon get distracted and everything goes back to normal, except that they are not eating or drinking. But everything else, the haram, watching and listening and acting upon, is business as usual. So to prepare for Ramadan, it's not only this month. It's a full life system that you have to adjust and synchronize with the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, to live like he lived, to go around like he did, and also to be like the companions. May Allah be pleased with them. And as I said, this requires a full lecture. Shahzal from Pakistan, what's the ruling on saying, Wajhallah alayk? And this is used in Sudan by the Sudanese, most likely. Alayk Allah, Wajhallah alayk. And this is a form of swearing. By Allah, you should do this. And this is inappropriate, or you may say it's prohibited. Why, Sheikh? Swearing by Allah is permissible. Wallahi, you will do this. If he doesn't do it, I'll expiate. End of story. But when you say, Wajhallah alayk, or alayk wajhallah, this is seeking the intercession of Allah to a human being. So as if you're asking him, by Allah's face, do this for me. And it is not permissible to ask anything by Allah's face except paradise. And nobody has paradise in his hands except Allah. So to disrespect Allah by using his face with a human being in such trivial issues is between haram and inappropriate. And I'm more inclined to say that it is prohibited and not permissible. Allah knows best. Shukr from the US says, I have a confusion between the permissibility of eating the meat which the people of the book, Jews and Christians, had slaughtered, and the ayah in chapter 5, Surah Al-Ma'idah, do not eat from what the name of Allah was not mentioned upon. So I have a confusion. Why do you guys say it is permissible to eat what the Jews and Christians have slaughtered for us or for themselves, as long as the animal itself is halal? Well, this is very simple. The answer is the issue of such permissibility and prohibition is understood by looking at all evidences from the Quran and the Sunnah. So it is true that if the Jews and Christians slaughtered an animal and we're certain 100% that they've mentioned the name of Jesus, the name of whatever, the name of the president, while slaughtering, not the name of Allah, not saying Bismillah in the name of Allah, then this is dead meat. We cannot eat it. Whether it's a cow, whether it is a camel, a horse, a sheep, or whatever. So this is something that is done and over with. But also we know that in chapter 5, Allah mentioned in the very beginning in the Quran that it is permissible for us to eat the slaughtering animals slaughtered by the Jews and the Christians. And here Allah did not mention to us anything about mentioning the name. So how can we combine the two? Quite easy. You go to the Sunnah, you'll see that the Prophet ﷺ accepted the invitation of a Jew woman who offered him a ram that was cooked and poisoned to kill him. But he did not know that in the beginning. So he answered the invitation. He started to eat. His companions, one of his companions started to eat as well, without asking the woman ahead of time whether this ram was slaughtered according to Islamic Sharia and did she say Bismillah or not. Being a Jew or a Christian and being permitted to eat what they had slaughtered to us or for us means that by default they either said Bismillah and we accept this, or they didn't say Bismillah, but because we don't know, we give them the benefit of the doubt and we eat. So this is the best way of combining the two evidences without neglecting one over the other. So we say yes, whenever a Jew or a Christian or even a Muslim, if a Muslim wants to slaughter a ram and says in the name of a Tijani or Sayyidina al-Badawi or Abdul Qadir or whatever, a Shadhili, this is a dead meat, even if he's a Muslim, because we can't eat from this. And the Jews and the Christians are the same. But when we don't, when a Muslim comes and slaughters a sheep, and I didn't hear him say, Bismillah, Allahu Akbar. I bought it from the supermarket. I bought it from the butcher's shop. So it is halal by default until proven otherwise, and I hope this answers your question. Wajih from Canada says, there are people who would go and dig in the old archives of great scholars of Islam, such as Sheikh Al-Albani, and come up with a fatwa that might be wrong. And they start to slander him, to speak ill about him, to criticize him. Well, akhi, this is too generic, but it's a rule of thumb. no one is qualified to criticize someone of the magnitude and the weight of Sheikh Al-Albani except someone who is similar to him in rank, in knowledge, and in position. So when people, random people, come and talk ill about Sheikh Al-Albani for a fatwa he has said, this is unacceptable. It's exactly like when someone comes nowadays and says, oh, Abu Hanifa, the great Imam, he was this, he was this, he was this, he was this, and he discredits him like he is a pupil in elementary school. What is this? This is Imam Abu Hanifa. Who spoke highly about him? Imam Shafi'i. He said, all scholars are children in need of Imam Abu Hanifa's knowledge. Who praised him? Who took knowledge of him? All the great scholars, tabi'in, tabi'in, and so on. So for you to come and discredit Abu Hanifa, to discredit Sheikh Al-Albani, to come and discredit Sheikh bin Baz, the great mufti, the grand mufti, and you, one of the great scholars of Islam, and you say, oh yeah, he said this fatwa that went against the predictions and the theories and the facts of NASA. So we discredit him. He's this, he's that. This shows how an ignorant imbecile such people are. You don't pay attention to those. So when people speak ill about great scholars of Islam, you have to look into them. Read their CVs. Look at what they had presented to the Ummah. If they are qualified, so if when Sheikh bin Uthaymeen speaks about Sheikh Al-Albani and says something about a fatwa or criticizes it, yeah, they are heavyweights. It's Muhammad Ali versus Fraser, no problem. But when someone comes, a no one, and he talks without any credentials, without any knowledge, without any solid background about great scholars of Islam, why waste your time listening to such people? It's simply not logical, and we don't give them room to grow and flourish. When we criticize them, when we say, oh, this guy said something about Al-Albani, these people are fame seekers. They're not scholars. But if a scholar speaks about another scholar and he's just and fair and fears Allah Azza wa Jal and speaks the truth, it's not peer jealousy or peer pressure, then yeah, we may listen to that. But someone who's a nobody speaking about a mountain, about a beacon of light like Al-Albani or bin Baz or bin Uthaymeen, you have to ignore those and not even refute what they're saying or not even make room to what they're saying because they're nobody. They don't even deserve the recognition, and Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. This is all the time we have. Tomorrow, I don't think we have a live session because the studio is engaged with another order. So we will meet, inshallah, the following Saturday. So until then, I leave you fi amanillah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني وسبحان الله وما أنا من المشركين